everyone, and welcome back to another trip report. I'm here at Terminal A of Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, checking in for my flight up to Toronto this afternoon. I'll be traveling in business class today, so my checked baggage receives these nice priority stickers, meaning they'll be first off the belt when we land in Toronto. American Airlines has several priority check-in counters, which I was able to use today. There are also these self-serve kiosks available for checking in and printing documents as well. Now on to security screening. With the A21 security checkpoint right here next to the check-in area, it's super convenient. The screening was also super quick and efficient today with practically no one else in line. Now, my flight isn't actually departing from Terminal A today, but you're able to transfer between terminals airside using the DFW Skylink system. This means that you don't have to be rescreened in security when switching terminals, which is particularly helpful for connecting passengers. Now, you may be wondering, why go to Terminal A if my flight isn't actually leaving from there? The answer to that is that when I arrived at the airport this morning, my flight hadn't yet been assigned a gate, or even a terminal for that matter. And since American operates out of all the terminals at DFW, I just picked a random one to do my check-in, bag drop, and security screening. Now, since clearing security, my flight's been assigned a gate in Terminal C, so I'm heading over there now. Now, for a little more about the terminal situation for American Airlines here at Dallas-Fort Worth. So, with DFW being one of their major hub airports, American is the sole occupant of Terminals A, B, and C, and they share Terminals D and E with other airlines. The train to the C and E gates departs from this side of the station, and the travel time between the terminals is only 2 to 3 minutes, with 2 Skylink stations on each terminal. I'm at the A22 to A39 gates stop on this line, so the C2 to C20 stop is the next station. The Skylink offers some great views out onto the tarmac, though the variety of aircraft tails appears to be lacking. Pulling in now to the station for gates C2 to C20. This is where I'll be getting off and walking over to my gate for today. My flight is set to depart from gate C4, so it's just a short walk back down to the main level, and then we'll potentially find some lunch first before heading to the gate. And down at the bottom of the escalator, we find ourselves on the main concourse for Terminal C. So as you can see, the DFW Skylink system makes it super easy to transfer between terminals. No reclearing security, no hassle. Makes it super convenient. So in this terminal, we've got tons of restaurants, as there were in Terminal A. Starbucks, TGI Fridays, Chick-fil-A, Auntie Annie's, and many more. There's also a food court area here near gate C6 with a Shake Shack, Caribou Coffee, a bagel place, and a barbecue place. My first meal of the day was decidedly a burger from Shake Shack. I skipped right over breakfast and moved straight into lunch. I have to say, I really do enjoy their food, and we don't have any locations up in Canada. After finishing off my frozen custard dessert, which was delicious, I decided to take a quick look at the departures board. My flight is American Airlines Flight 1111 to Toronto. It's listed here on the second board from the right. It's currently expected to depart at 1:40 p.m. with a delay of 11 minutes from our initially scheduled 1:29 departure time. I'm settling in here at my gate C4 for today. Nice views out onto the tarmac, but no aircraft yet. It is expected to come in a couple minutes though. And unfortunately, even with my business class ticket today, I'm not able to use the lounge. That's because business and first class tickets within North America don't allow lounge access. At the gate, there's also this self-serve kiosk for helping passengers print boarding passes, change their seats, or even change your flight or upgrade to a higher cabin of service. Now, the gate area is still quite quiet, but I do expect it to be quite a full flight today, given that it is January 3rd and most people are returning home from their holiday travel. Now, American Airlines has a great mobile app, which I happen to have here on my smartphone. Through the app, you can access maps of some of their major hub airports, including Dallas-Fort Worth. So on the map, it shows my location pinpointed and also the location of my gate for today. You can also view restaurants, lounges, and other stores. The maps are in really high quality and honestly just kind of fun to play around with. With 31 minutes left until boarding begins, my aircraft is pulling into the gate now from its previous flight. So today we'll be on this American Airlines Boeing 737-800. That's one of the Boeing 737 next generation aircraft. And this one in particular is actually quite new. It's not even 3 years old yet, so I'm really looking forward to getting on board. With our aircraft now parked here at the gate and getting serviced, boarding should begin in just a few minutes. In terms of the boarding process, concierge key members and any passengers who require additional time while boarding are asked to board first. Once the boarding for the rest of the passengers starts, there are 9 boarding groups which passengers are divided into. I'll be boarding in group 1 today, thanks to my business class ticket. It's also worth noting that groups 1 to 4 are considered priority, while groups 5 through 9 are, well, not.
We do board by group number. Your group number's on your boarding pass. Group 1.
As I begin my walk down the jetway to the aircraft, I want to talk a bit more about the American Airlines boarding groups and how they divide them among the classes of service on their aircraft. So on my aircraft today, there are only 2 classes of service, the business class cabin and the economy class cabin. If there were a first class cabin on the aircraft, then passengers in that cabin would be assigned to group 1, and any business class passengers would be in group 2. However, in my case, the highest class of service is business, and thus group 1. I'll be in row 5 for this flight in seat 5A. So I have the window seat here on the left side of the aircraft. I'll also add in that there are only 4 rows in the business class cabin on this aircraft, and yet somehow I'm in row 5. That is because the numbering starts at 3. Don't ask me why, that is just how it is apparently. And in terms of legroom in the seat, each business class seat has about 40 to 42 inches of pitch, so that leaves lots of space to stretch out. One thing I'd note, however, is that there's not a lot of space to store things under the seat in front because of some fairly large electrical boxes that sit there. And the beauty of the window seat is that I have a great view looking out in front of the engine here, and my seat has 2 big windows letting in lots of natural light. And back inside now, let's take a quick seat tour. So from the middle armrest here, we have this small tray table style thing that folds out. I'm not really sure what I'm going to put on there, considering there's another small tray table that pops out from the front of our armrest here. Now, don't mind me while I figure out this super complex locking mechanism and have my neighbor laugh at me. But there we go. There's the other small tray table, which holds the pre-departure beverages really nicely. And those 2 small tray tables are in addition to the full-size tray table that folds out from the middle armrest. And I know I only opted for water for my pre-departure beverage, quite boring, but I'll be driving when we land in Toronto. Anyway, continuing with our seat tour, on the left armrest here, there is a remote control for the entertainment system and a storage pouch beneath for perhaps a magazine or a large book. Any of the in-flight provided reading materials are stored in the seat back pocket here, with a couple other leather pouches for storing maybe a small book or your passport.
Good afternoon, folks. On the flight deck, Captain White here. Welcome to board our flight.
In the business class cabin on this aircraft, the seats are standard recliner chairs in a 2-2 seating configuration. So this means that each seat has about 21 inches of width, which is a lot bigger than the 3-3 configuration back in economy. Also, from a quick look at the ceiling, you can tell that this aircraft has the new Boeing Sky interior, which intends to make the cabin feel more open and airy than the previous interiors. Another supposed benefit of the Boeing Sky interior is that the overhead bins are larger, but as the flight attendant's mentioning here, all the bins in the back are already full.
The boarding door is now closed. Please power off and put away all large electronic devices, including laptop computers. All small handheld electronic devices must be placed in airplane mode at this time. If your electronic device has a keyboard. A very pleasant good afternoon and welcome to American Airlines Flight 1111 with service to Toronto. Your safety is important to us. If you could please pause for a moment, direct your attention to the monitors throughout the cabin for an important.
First things first, let's buckle those belts. Insert the metal end into the buckle and pull the strap to tighten. To open, simply lift on the top of the buckle.
And we finally pushed back from the gate about 15 minutes after our originally scheduled departure time. Safety video is underway and the engines are starting up.
Please pay close attention, and before you know it, we'll be off. All exits on this airplane are clearly marked. Take a moment to locate the nearest one.
And I'll comment on it again. I haven't seen an airline other than American. But I guess that's DFW for you.
D'abord, vous trouverez notre règlement sur les appareils électroniques à la fin du magazine American Way. Fumer, y compris une cigarette électronique, est absolument interdit à bord.
We're taxiing to the runway now, so I'm gonna shut up right about here and let you enjoy that beautiful engine sound on takeoff. If that's your thing, of course. But I'll talk to you again when we're in the air. Above the clouds now and continuing to climb up to our cruising altitude. Shortly after takeoff, the flight attendants came through and distributed some blankets to the business class passengers. Not sure I'll be using it on this daytime flight, but we'll see how tired I get. And a little more on our seat tour since we didn't really finish it on the ground. We've got that tray table that folds up from the armrest here, which I was telling you about. So there's a couple different handles or grabs, I guess, on it to make it easier to lift out of the armrest. It's also mounted on rails, so you can slide it back and forth and adjust its position relative to you. And you also have the option of using the table in either a half or a full configuration. You know, just in case the other two small tray tables you have in the seat aren't enough. I also realized that I haven't talked about the entertainment system on board the aircraft yet. I'll do a full tour of the system later in the video, but for now a quick preview. So every seat in the business class cabin is equipped with one of these large touchscreen entertainment systems. The system can also be controlled by the remote that's stored in the armrest that was shown earlier. As a part of the in-flight service, the cabin crew handed out these cleansing towelettes in preparation for the food. They then served some bowls of warm nuts. And complimentary sets of earbuds were also handed out to all of the business class passengers to be used with the in-flight entertainment system.
As quickly as possible, this is for your safety. Right now we're looking at pushing down to our time with kitchen gate shortly.
And next up on the in-flight service, the cabin crew brought through some drinks in real glassware. Yes, can you tell I'm used to flying economy? And about 45 minutes into the flight now, the cabin crew brought through the main meal service of the flight. Passengers had the option to pre-order their meal online up to 24 hours in advance if you wanted a specific thing or had a specific food allergy. I opted for the enchiladas, but the other options were a cheese platter, a falafel platter, and various other allergen-friendly meals. The meal was also served with a small green side salad, a bread roll, and obviously dressing and butter to go with those. There's also a little packet containing salt and pepper that was provided with the tray. And while I'm still oohing and ahhing over the real glassware, I also want to present to you the real cutlery, another thing that we don't get back in economy class. And all done my meal, I have to say it was quite tasty. I didn't have super high expectations going in, but it was really good. And I'm on to my warm, gooey chocolate chip cookie for dessert. Flight attendants came through to clear away all of the meal trays and bowls, so I'm free to stretch out and stare out the window for the next hour or so. I don't think I've mentioned it up to this point, but the flight time up to Toronto from Dallas is only about 2 hours, so just enough time for a full meal and maybe a TV show. Looking around the seat area again now, I've found the location of the AC power outlets. There's one for each seat, as well as one USB port for each seat as well, and of course the headphone port for the entertainment screen. And on the overhead panel above the seat there are a set of personal air conditioning vents and reading lights, as well as the call attendant button. Now you'll notice 3 sets of each. It's because they haven't changed it from the 3.3 configuration back in economy. And the flight attendants came around with another drink service. This time I opted for water once again. So now for a look at the content in the seat back pocket. For starters, we have the safety information card for the Boeing 737. Following this, we have the first American Airlines in-flight magazine. This is the Celebrated Living magazine. Followed by the second American Airlines in-flight magazine. This is the Nexos magazine. And finally, the third American Airlines in-flight magazine, the American Way magazine. And now for a tour of the in-flight entertainment system. We'll start off with the remote, which is looking particularly retro. You've got a keyboard on the back for the full BlackBerry phone experience. And let's just put that away, I won't be needing that, because thankfully the entertainment screens are also touchscreen operated. Starting off with a look in the entertainment section, we have on-demand movies, TV shows, games, and music. There's also a dedicated kids section with on-demand movies, TV shows, and music. We also have an About Us section here with details about the AA Advantage loyalty program and videos on how to use the different seat controls across some of their different business class products. You can also access the same 3 American Airlines in-flight magazines that we found in the seat back pocket, except that on the entertainment screen here we have a lot more issues available to us. There's also a section with the available food and beverage items on this flight. And now for a look at the flight information section. We have viewing options for an interactive in-flight map, arrival information for our flight, and different airport maps as well. overall, the quality of the graphics on the entertainment screen is really good. It also has really good touch sensitivity, so you don't have to repeatedly hit it to get it to follow your commands. And on the bottom of the screen there's a couple different command options, including the power button and the volume control. And a quick look at the earbuds that were provided. On any longer international first class flight, American typically offers over-ear style headphones. And the seatbelt signs in the cabin are back on now as we have started our descent towards Toronto Pearson Airport.
As a reminder, the seatbelt sign is on. If you'll please return to your seat, make sure that your seatbelt is securely fastened as we're going to experience some shock.
And it is January here in Canada, so the sun is setting as it's already 4:30 in the afternoon. So with the sun going down, there's not really much need for the window shade, but I'll show it off anyway. The window shades on this aircraft are a simple pull-down shade, so nothing fancy like the dimmable ones on the 787. And finally, the cabin crew finished off the in-flight service by handing out some mints as we get closer to landing in Toronto.
En préparation à l'atterrissage, veuillez s'il vous plaît rabattre votre tablette et ranger vos bagages.
Looks like we'll be cloud surfing our way into Pearson today. Enjoy the views of the sunset while we still have them.
Remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is turned off. And keep the aisles...
It's been a pleasure having you all on board this afternoon on behalf of...
Much to my surprise, absolutely no snow up here in Toronto, which was welcomed, especially after spending the past 2 weeks in warm, sunny California.
Our arrival this evening is Terminal 3, Gate 88, Bravo 8.
Pulling into our gate now, we're parking at Bravo 8 on Terminal 3 today. You've probably noticed that blue interior cabin light by now. I feel like I've been thrown onto an Air Transat plane. It's kind of nice, but can be a little bit aggressive.
Flight attendants verified, disarm doors, stand by for all call.
One of the other nice things about sitting up front is that I was about the 10th passenger to disembark the plane, which means I didn't have to do that awkward half stand under the open overhead bins while waiting for the aisle to clear out. I'm now headed up to Canadian Border Control, which hopefully shouldn't be too busy, and then on to baggage claim, and finally home for the evening.
Your attention, please. All passengers connecting to another flight.
After less than 10 minutes in the customs hall, I've made it to the Terminal 3 baggage claim area. For those of you who are familiar with Pearson Airport, this is where the real fun begins in my journey. Now, perhaps it's just in my experience, but I've never really had good things to say about Terminal 3's baggage system. And by the looks of it, it's a pretty busy place tonight. Bags from my flight are due to come out on Carousel 7 this evening, with what looks to be the bags from a horde of other American Airlines flights from Chicago, Miami, and Washington. And after about 10 minutes of impatiently waiting, I've spotted my bag, and you know what? I'm gonna call that a win for Terminal 3, because from what I remember, the last time I was here I waited about 2 hours for my baggage. So all in all, within 40 minutes of having touched down on the runway, I have my bag, have cleared customs, and am on my way home. So, for a summary of today's events, my favorite things were how easy it was to make transfers in and navigate Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, the priority stickers for my checked baggage and priority boarding with Group 1, and the attentive onboard service, including the pre-departure beverage, the snacks, the cleaning towels, and the full meal service on only a 2-hour flight. But a couple things that were missed were the lack of lounge access for American Airlines first and business class tickets within North America, and the extremely limited under-seat storage in my business class seat. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then go hit that subscribe button below, and I'll see you next time.